Hi, welcome to Janani Farms. I'm Dr. Sarita Subramaniam. I'm a keen enthusiast of gardening and I love plants, especially the succulents. So, a lot of people out there have asked me how I look after my succulents, what special care I give to my succulents, and what kind of soil I use. At the outset, I would like to clarify I don't use any market bought soil, I make my own soil. I follow a few basic rules, understanding the uh, type of succulents, the plants that they are. So I know that succulents thrive under very harsh conditions. They get very little water and even less nutrients. So that is how the principle for our soil mix should be. Have a well drained soil because these plants are not used to having a lot of water. We also need to understand that the leaves that we see in the succulents, they are full of water. They store the water in those leaves, so they don't need really that much water. A lot of us have killed succulents over our lifetime, I'm sure, with our enthusiastic watering. I would say the success, the trick, if there is any to having a successful succulent collection, would be to ignore them. Ignore them and they will thrive. Please do not overwater. So, in our effort here to ensure that it's a well drained soil, I would divide my soil mix into three basic parts. One would be the sandy soil itself, two, the elements to make it more porous, and third would be the nutrients I add. I do not use any chemical fertilizers, neither do I use any chemical pesticide, fungicide, or weedicide. I do not use in our farm and I don't use it for my succulents either. So I'll tell you what I use for my succulents to nurture them. So I would take first 3 parts of river sand. Okay, I always glove up. I'm sure there are gardening gloves, but I'm very comfortable as a dentist using these latex gloves, so which is what I use. I like to work with gloves on because of hygiene issues. So preferably, please do work, because a lot of times the soil, anybody who's gardening has to be more careful because of soil and contamination and E. coli infections. So please do wear a pair of gloves. That would be the healthy part of me advising my friends. Apart from the sandy soil, I would take Cocopeat. This is basically made of coconut fiber. They come in blocks. Usually, do you get the loose ones as well? We buy the blocks. We soak it in water overnight. These blocks swell up and the cocoa fiber sort of disintegrates and they separate out. Now this you'll feel is likely to collect water, but no, it retains the adequate amount of water that is needed. Again, the Cocopeat, I let it air dry, I let it sun out, there's no moisture left. That is when I add it to the soil mix. So I took 3 parts of the river sand. I'll be adding 1 part of the Cocopeat. Now to this, I'll be adding what is called Cinder. Now this is actually an adjunct or an additive to the sandy soil that I have taken. So these are cinder particles. I use the washed ones so that the powder form is less. You get this in the market. So you need to use pre-washed cinder. This aerates the soil well. It allows the soil to become more porous, and that is why I always like to use cinder. There are times when I have used for some of my lithops a lot of cinder as such, and very little Cocopeat or very little sandy soil. It's a brilliant soil by itself, soil medium by itself. Now, apart from this, I said that we need to add more and more sort of ingredients, I feel, to make the soil more aerated. The more aerated my soil is, the less likely that there will be compaction of the soil. So you definitely can't have clayey soil. So I add pumice or perlite, or a combination of pumice and perlite. Pumice is readily available as these granules. You'll get it in the market. So I add again 1 part of the pumice. All of these actually go to make the soil more aerated. Yeah. So what I also add to this is a little bit of the charcoal powder. Now you will need charcoal for the pot, and a lot of times the charcoal powder that we get along with the charcoal, I use it to little bit, maybe a handful, to just add to the soil again, so that the water doesn't retain. As you can see how important it is to ensure that the soil that you make for your succulent is well aerated, well drained, and nutrient rich. Not nutrient rich, but adequate nutrients. Like I told you, I use only organic manure. So here I have a combination of goat manure and cow manure. Both have their own inherent properties. I at times add vermicompost to this. Again, this will be one part. So I am compensating for the sandy soil along with the nutrient part. I don't use any chemical apart from this. So this, your soil mix is almost ready. The one thing that I add to this of late, I mean very recently I started adding it, that is clay balls. Again, you get different sizes depending on what size you want to prefer for your cacti. You can either use a combination like I've used some really large ones, and like these, and this, and some really fine ones. So I mix them. Now what do the clay balls do? They again aerate the soil, at the same time they help hold certain moisture in it. Like even pumice will actually help retain some amount of moisture. The holes in the pumice itself, particles itself, will again allow the gases to evaporate. And it's that simple. Your soil mix is ready for the succulents. So I just need to give it a good mix, and this is what I will be using to start for my potting. Now in the next video I'll show you step by step what ingredients I use even for the potting and how to take care of them later. Thank you.